So I'm working on this Invictor tactical warsuit, and this is going to be for YouTube video, but I can't fit in painting the pilot in a video in a way that I like, and I don't want to stretch it out to another episode for the reasons. So I think in this vlog, I'm going to paint Bob. Bob, say hi to everybody. Hi, everybody. That was Bob's voice, amplified, because he's tiny. I've already base painted him with Macragge Blue, which is the Ultramarines color. That's the faction in Warhammer 40k that he's part of. So I've already base coated him with that. I'm going to use this Calgar Blue from Citadel. I'm going to do the Artis Opus method of dry brushing him to bring out some of the details. I've never done a Space Marine this way, or if I have, I don't remember it. So I'm not sure how this is going to work, but Byron on the Artis Opus channel makes it look really good and really easy. So I'll give it a shot because I need help with painting figures anyway. So dry brushing, I know. That other stuff, not yet. Well, I can tell sticking him on the end of a toothpick ain't really the method for success. But anyway, let me get him dry brushed. And what I'm doing is I'm just starting with a little bit of paint on the brush, but I'm dry brushing it, as you can see, quite a bit to impart more of that color on it. And especially like on his shoulders here, the shoulder pauldrons. Am I out of focus? There. Sorry about that. I want to get a little more of the color on it. I really like using their this texture pad. When I first got it, I thought, okay, John, you're wasting your money. How is this going to be better than your homemade kitchen cutting block thing? Well, it actually works really good. So now the trick that is going to be for me is to go to the hardware store and find some wood with this texture. See if I can get it cheaper whenever I need to replace this one. Because I can tell that it'll take a while, but the more I do it, the more it's going to foul it up with paint. So anyway, let me get this guy dry brushed and move on to the next step. All right, that'll do. It's not great, but I mean, honestly, the way it looks is probably better than if I would have tried to paint it the traditional way, so I can live with that. Now the next color is this rust gray, and I'm going to do even more dry brushing. Rust Gray is named after a guy named Russ Gray, oddly enough. He was one of the early Space Marines, wasn't a real bright guy. I'm just making this up as I go along. It's really early in the morning and I'm really tired. This was the first weekend that I really got out and did some yard work. And I'm worn out. I'm still worn out. I did the yard work on Saturday and took a nap and Saturday afternoon, and I still relaxed all day Sunday. I still just feel beat up. But doing a lighter dry brush this time, not trying to get it in as many of the areas as I did before. This is more of the goal of this for me is more of an edge highlight. I could do the traditional edge highlighting, like you see the box art and stuff like that. And that's something I can actually do. But I just thought this softer look, because I'm not doing edge highlighting on any of the other parts of the model. So I thought doing it this way would be a little softer and blend in a little better, but it would also be quicker, because one of the things, I'm a little behind on my videos right now, so I want to kind of move through this one, because I like Warhammer projects, because they're just really fast and fun to build, to get through. All right, that'll work. And I'm going to paint all these joints between the armor sections with neutral gray. The reason for doing this is I'm going to go back with a Citadel contrast paint, Black Templar, and paint over it. So it'll give me some highlights and some shadow in a fairly quick and easy step. And then if I want to highlight it up from there, I can. What I got to do here, mainly at his elbows. I think I saw one other place that can be visible. I'll figure it out. All right, while that neutral gray dries, I'm going to start painting all the lead belcher bits. The lead belcher from Citadel. It's one of my favorite colors in the world. I really like working with it. But his harness here, the little handles and things for the controls, part of this optical eyepiece here, I think is belt buckle. I've got to check the reference photo, or maybe I'll just paint it anyway. Live dangerously. But anyway, there's quite a few parts that are lead belcher, so I'll get those painted up. If you're wondering if my voice sounds a little weird this morning, all that working in the yard meant that even though I was wearing a mask to protect myself from all the pollen and stuff like that, got a little congested because everything is blooming this time of year. It's pretty, but makes it hard for me to breathe. So that's what's going on. All right, now I've got some of the Citadel Black Templar contrast paint. And I'm going to paint over this neutral gray. I thinned it down about 2 parts contrast paint, 1 part contrast medium, just so that it would flow a little better, because it's quite thick right out of the bottle. But anyway, I'm going to get these neutral gray areas painted. And of course, you know me, I'm going to have to do this off camera, because right now I'm not actually seeing what I'm doing. So I'll get it painted in. All right, I'm going to try my best on camera, paint this eye. There, I think I got it. I gotta go off camera for a minute just to get it up close enough so I can see. You would not believe how little I actually saw of that. I'm just guessing I got it right. So let me go off camera to double check it and see if I need to do any cleanup. Turns out I just needed to add a little more to one of the back corners. Now that was Vallejo Gory Red, a very dark red. I'm just going to make a jump up to Citadel Evil Sun Scarlet and just put a little bit of color right towards the front. As difficult as it is for me, I figure I can't get 3 different levels of, or 2 different levels of highlights on here. I can just get the one, and I'm cleaning off my brush right now, and I think I'm just going to live with that. That'll do, pig. That'll do. All right, I've got some Vallejo Black Game Wash, thinned down with just a little bit of Lamy and medium from Citadel. And I'm just going to paint this fairly heavily over the metal bits. If it stains them a little bit, that's okay, because I want it to have an older look, not a shiny look. So I'll just paint that right over those. And then on other areas, I'm going to go ahead, and again, I'll have to do a lot of this off camera so I can see what I'm doing, but I'll just go in and start doing a more precise shade along recesses like that. Here along his knees, get up there on his helmet. I'm trying to avoid just painting the whole thing with the wash if I can get away with it, but if I can't, then I will do it and go back and clean it up later. And you may be saying, well, why don't you just use an enamel wash so that you can clean it up? I've just gotten to where I just like the acrylic washes. I'm okay with the limitation that they bring to it. I like using them, and I just more and more I'm getting away from using enamels and oils on some things. One, for the drying time, but two, I just find this easier. Cleans up with water, and I kind of have figured out how to make it work for me, and I like the way it ends up looking. So anyway, I'm going to get this guy shaded so he'll have a little more relief going on there, and then go back and do a little more detail painting. All right, I put that black wash all over it, and I had to switch up to just basically coating him in the wash. My hands were just shaken to the point that I couldn't get it precisely where I wanted, so I just put it over everything and then used the brush to wick up any excess. And because I had thinned it down a little bit, it pulled into the recesses nicely and didn't pool up anywhere, so it actually did a pretty good job of shading everything down. It did tint everything just a little bit, kind of hid that highlighting work I had done before, and I realized it's a little, even I think if I would have only just lined it in, I think it doesn't have enough pop. So what I've done is I've mixed some more Calgar blue with Citadel's Lamian Medium, again, which is just a clear medium paint without color, essentially. Just a touch of water. And what I'm going to do is get this on, let me start here on the knee so I can show this. I'm going to get it on my brush, wick off most of it. And what I'm going to do is just start glazing it onto the highlights. And you see that doesn't make very much difference at all. But what it allows me to do is to build this color up in areas that I want to, and precisely the amounts that I want to. I'm having to get it kind of a weird angle to get this on camera, but I think you see the point. And then what I can do is I can go on to, for example, the shoulders, and do it up towards the top of the shoulders and the top of the helmet, and up here on the top of the chest plate, just like that. And so what I do is I just glaze that on, and then once it dries, I can put more in smaller amounts going up towards the top. If you remember when I did that Warhammer 40K Impulsor build, if you saw the way I did the leather seats in the back of that thing, it's basically the same technique, just a different color, just thin glazes built up, and in diminishing amounts until you bring the light source up. But what it's going to do is it's just going to highlight those areas and help them have a little more pop. So when he's sitting in that cage in there, it doesn't look quite so flat. Let me go around and get this done. And he's pretty close to being finished. All right, I can live with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some rust gray, which is much lighter, and I'm just going to dry brush very carefully along some of the edges, just to help bring those out of the shadow. And I know I said I wasn't going to do an edge highlight, but the more I look at it, the more I realize it needs something to help define the shapes a little bit. So I think a very localized dry brushing will help in that way, and just kind of feather that edge in and make it a little more apparent. So I'm just going to do this in a few areas on the miniature to try and highlight and sharpen some of the detail. Like, I want to do it along these edges here, the top of his mouth thing, the edges of these plates, that kind of thing. Just places to help them stand out just a little bit more. I'm going to use some Rune Fang steel, which is just a brighter silver color. I'm just going to add in a few little highlights here and there on the harness area, mostly towards the top of the elements, just to give them a little shine, make them look like they're reflecting some light. And try not to get it on anything that's blue around it. Well, that's going to be where he sits. So I wanted to get a look at how it appears in here. Let me put the roll bars over it. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. I like the way the highlights are kind of making him show up in there. I won't get a full view of it until, of course, this is painted blue also, because right now he looks really poppy. But all of this being black, it's kind of, he's in super contrast to it. So when I get these painted, we'll have to see how it does. I may add a few more highlights to it, but I can live with that. It's part of my evolution in learning to figure paint. It's still, as you see, it's still a challenge for me. I think I have the ideas that I've seen others do that are much more advanced, but my ability is very, very, very novice level. And so trying to resolve those two is difficult. But like anything else, I just keep trying. The more I do it, the more I'm starting to like the results that I get a little better, but always knowing that there's plenty of room to grow. So I know this vlog has been a little bit of a departure, but I just wanted to show painting this, and it just really wouldn't have fit into a full video, I didn't feel. And so we'll just call this a vlog. And as always, thank you for being a patron. I appreciate it. And like I say, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So happy day to you, friends. Bye-bye.